Excuse me. Our speaker will share her experience, strength, and hope with us for approximately 45 minutes. We ask out of respect for our speaker to please remain seated until she has finished. It is my great pleasure this evening to introduce our speaker, Kat. Come on up, Kat.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Kat. I'm an alcoholic. So I was trying to figure out where to start, so I guess we'll just start from the very beginning. I was born in Minnesota in 1995, and my mom had always planned to have kids very, very young, and so she had me when she was just 18. And then she was with a guy who was 7 years older than her, who is my dad, and I basically was doomed since birth. My dad was an alcoholic. Everybody on my dad's side is an alcoholic. My mom has very strong, obsession qualities in her. She can sit and play Candy Crush for a week straight and not even get up. So you take the alcoholism and the obsessionness and then put it together, and then here I come. And so my first 5-6 years of my childhood were not very great. My dad was not really, he probably isn't still to this day, but who knows. He's not really a great guy. Very abusive, bipolar, not taking medications. He was very abusive towards everybody, towards my mom, me, my brother, my sister, and but for some reason though, when he left when I was 6, I thought, looking back as an adult, you would think that I would be happy as a child, but I wasn't happy. I was devastated. I couldn't process why my dad had left, and I was misbehaving so much that my tantrums were not just normal children tantrums. I was ripping things off the wall and throwing them, and my mom would have to literally hold me down to try to get me to calm down, or else I destroyed everything in her house. Around that same time, my mom met her wife. They have now been together for over 20 years, and her name is Jen, and she is such an amazing person. For the rest of my childhood, I held a resentment about my father leaving, for sure, because I had a core belief that I couldn't understand why you would leave your children, and it's family first, And I gained that core belief from my mom's wife, Jen, because nobody in my family is blood related to her, but she is the one who's always there. You call her for anything, you get a flat tire, you call Jen. Anything goes wrong, you call Jen. She's just always the person to save you, and then not hold it against you later. It's literally just done out of pure love. And so let me think. Fast forward a little bit. I moved down to Arizona when I was 10, and I moved to Prescott Valley, and I went to elementary school in Prescott Valley. And then my mom is such a kind of a gypsy at heart. She does not stay in the same place for very long. We could live in the same town for 5 years, but in that 5 years, we've lived in 6 different places. So every time the lease is up, we're in another place. And for a long time, it wasn't even the full year. She would just ditch the leases and we would be gone. And I used to just have a box that had my favorite stuff in it to make sure that if my mom came in last minute and said, we're leaving in 3 hours, all my favorite stuff was in that box. So I wasn't worried that I would forget anything that really mattered to me. Which now, it really doesn't, none of that stuff really mattered because I couldn't tell you what was in that box now. So I went to high school in Phoenix in the town Maricopa, and Maricopa High School, and that is where I started drinking. My mom was actually like throwing a party at her house, and so I went into the garage, and we had a fridge in the garage, and it was like Malibu rum, and I took a drink of it, and I thought it was disgusting. I almost threw up. I was like, this is so gross. But I couldn't stop drinking it. I was like, okay, whatever, you know, they're having a great time. I want to have a good time. Because high school was not that great for me. Anybody who's wondering, I'm 6'1", and I have been this height since the 8th grade. So I was taller than everybody in middle school, taller than people my freshman year. So naturally, I was made fun of because kids are assholes. So, and I was very insecure about it. I didn't like the way that I looked. I didn't like myself even. But then when I started drinking, I thought that I was good looking. I thought that I was cool. And if you didn't think I was cool, well, then I would just get into a fight with you. So, there was no just like, okay, whatever, I'll just walk away. It was, yeah, I got into a lot of fights in school. And the thing was, is I just continually acted up because my mom really didn't care. Like, she worked at a casino, both her and Jen worked at casinos. So they would work until 4 or 5 in the morning and then go to sleep when I'm going to school. So when my teachers threatened to call my parents, it was like, oh, well, okay, well, I dare you to, because you were going to get yelled at, not me. And that's how it happened. I never got in trouble for getting in trouble. My parents just yelled at the teachers. Like, did she not tell you not to call me? Like, I'm asleep, I work. And so I could get away with basically anything I wanted to, and I did. I got away with a lot of stuff that in my high school years. And so my sophomore year, I turned 16 the day after winter break ended, and I went into the office and I told them I'm dropping out, and they were like trying to like convince me otherwise, but I was in there in my pajamas. And I was like, this is not happening. I'm done. Like, this was my mother's idea. And it really was. She was like, I don't even know why you go to school. You're failing. Why don't you just get your GED and stop making it such a hassle? I was like, all right. So at 16, right, yeah, let's drop out of school. That sounds great. And so I did. And then when I tested for my GED in Casa Grande, I actually passed high enough where they offered me a 2-year scholarship to their college. And it of course expires, so now I can't take up on that offer. But 16, I was like, no thanks, you got me effed up. I'm not trying to do college at 16. I don't even want to go to high school. So, yeah. And then I had my grandpa trying to tell me, like, you should do it. And I'm like, no. Mom says I don't need to, so I don't need to. And so after I dropped out of school, I started working graveyards at Quick Trip, and I loved that job because I could day drink all day and then go to work at 16, 17 years old, and it was just me and one other person. So I could basically just do whatever I want, and they would like let me back into the cooler where it's like cheese on this side and alcohol on this side, and they would tell me to just stock the cheese. And so, but I couldn't really just do that because I'm an alcoholic, and I always have been. So eventually I got fired from that job. And then I started like going to like the college scenes in Tempe, which was kind of a big deal for me. Like, I'm 17, I got a car, I'm not in high school, and I could pass for being much older because I'm 6'1". So I started partying a lot in Tempe, and I met this guy, and I moved out of my mom's house and moved into his house and started doing ecstasy and heroin and basically anything that was available. And I still thought I was cool, you know what I mean? I didn't like know that anything was wrong. And that boyfriend ended up dying. He died from an overdose, September 2013. And I like didn't really know what to do. Like in the exact moment, I didn't know, like, do I call the cops? Do I run away? Like what? I was just so traumatized. Like, I had never seen anybody die. I'd never been in love with anybody who died. Like, and I was all effed up because I was not in correct state of mind to begin with. So after the paramedics came and everything, and I was at the hospital because they were like, okay, well, do you want to stay here? Like, they were leaving, and I was like, what? You can't leave me here by myself. Like, I'm 17. And they're like, oh, well, we didn't know that you were that young. Like, his ID says he's 21. And I was like, yeah, I'm a kid, okay? Somebody take me to my mommy. And so they had me ride to the hospital, and then I called my mom, and I told her everything that had been happening, because she didn't really know. And, like, I'm sure she assumed that I was drinking, just simply because, like, she's always told me that I'm just like my father, which, you know, those sentences come out during arguments, but there's some truth to it. You know, you say stuff you don't mean, but you kind of do mean it. So I called her, and I told her what happened, and I said, you got to come get me. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to live life. And so she came and she picked me up, and the very next day we moved back to Prescott Valley. We had a whole family meeting. I had came clean about overdosing 3 times and having to go to the hospital. Getting alcohol poisoning in the middle of the desert, and thank God I didn't get, like, attacked by snakes or anything. Like, that's when I look back, that's what I think about. Like, thank God I didn't get bit by a snake. But so I had basically just told everybody in my family, like, what was going on in my life the past 2 years. And so they all decided to move me down here, or up here. Because my mom thought it was better, you know what I mean? Like, my mom's kind of, like, airheaded, not in a mean way, but airheaded about, you know, alcohol scenes and whatever. Like, she was married to an alcoholic, but she didn't really, she literally worked 7 days a week when I was a kid, because my dad would just take all of her money and go spend it on alcohol, so then she had to have another job to get food for me and my siblings. And my dad actually one time, he like broke everything in the house and stole all of the money and whatever, and like called the cops and said somebody robbed us. And yeah, so my mom really, she worked a lot, and also my mom was like seeing women on the side. So whatever time that she was at work, she was also with her girlfriends. So she didn't really spend a lot of time at the house, so she didn't know a lot of the stuff that I remember. And I just thanked God yesterday, because I was talking to my brother about our childhood, and he doesn't remember shit. He doesn't remember anything about my dad. And so I was like, thank you, God, you know what I mean, because that was my little baby brother. Anyways, so we come back here, and I am like grieving. I'm like traumatized at what just happened to me. And, you know, I was self-centered, so I thought that the world was falling down. Nobody can live a good life because my life sucks. And and so I started working at Harkins, and I started to use alcohol and sex to help me feel better. And I thought that it did make me feel better, but then the next day I would go to work, and like my last 2 hours of my shift, I'm like trying to be on my phone and like finding out who's gonna pick me up to go drink with me, because I can't just go to a bar. I'm still 17. And so a lot of the people that I spent my time with were not my age. They were older, and I was using them for their alcohol, and they were using me to have sex. And I was totally okay with it, because I probably couldn't remember half of it anyways. And then I turned 18, and I thought, okay, I'm leaving the state. I am moving away, and I'm never coming back. And so I moved back to Minnesota in the first week of February. And when my plan landed, it was negative 20 degrees. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. Something is wrong. Like, it's got to be at least positive 20. But it was negative 20, and it stayed I mean, I think it only got above 0 maybe a handful of times the 3 months that I lived there. It was freezing cold and I couldn't believe it. But I had family up there too, like my dad's first wife, my dad's fourth and fifth and sixth wives are up there. And my grandparents, my uncles, my aunts, like my whole family is up there. So I thought I was going to be good to go. Turns out everybody up there, it's so cold, the only thing to do is stay in your house and drink. So I was living with my dad's first wife, and she was just a full-blown alcoholic too. And she would like ask me, she would say like, I don't buy beer for minors, but if it's in my fridge and you happen to drink it, then I didn't really see anything. But we're sitting there like cheersing and playing cards and whatever, so she definitely saw everything. And I thought that was cool for a long time, and then I got super depressed again because it was so cold. Like, I just wanted to go swimming. It was like the beginning of May, and a straight blizzard came. And I pulled over on the side of the road crying, and I called my mom, and I said, Mom, I want to come back to Arizona. I'm supposed to be swimsuit shopping, and there's a blizzard going on. I can't do this. And so she made a deal with me. She said, if you let me teach you how to deal blackjack, then I'll fly you home. And because, like, in theory, you know, you don't have a college degree, 18 years old, whatever, you make a lot of money in the casinos. So I said, all right, deal. And my mom and Jen have been dealing cards for 10 years. So it was, you know, the norm. Like, I was playing in, like, household Texas Hold'em tournaments at 11. So I was like, all right, yeah, that sounds fun. So that's exactly what I did, and I worked at Buc-ee's for 2 years. But at that age, I made so much money that, like, I didn't comprehend, like, 401ks and savings and whatever. I just got my own place, got a car, had parties, like, every single night. And it was with people from work. So we all get off at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we all go back to my house, because it's just me and my cat. So I got this whole place and all this money, and I don't know what to do with it. So 2 years, that just progressively enhanced my disease. Like, and then I met his name is, well, never mind. He is the father of my daughter, and I met him when I was 20 years old. And I had a roommate at this time, and like, he was friends with my roommate. So he was like always at the house, and I would just let them have their guy time, because I didn't really, like, they watched dirt bike videos on YouTube and just like stuff like that, and I wasn't into it. So I just let them have their time. And then I came out of my room to him one day, and he was in the living room, and he was like, do you want to hang out? And I was like, I guess. And he's like, do you like ecstasy? And I was like, yes, I do. So for like 4 months straight, like, I quit my job at Buc-ee's, I moved out of that place, I moved into his place, and was just drinking and on ecstasy basically for 4 months straight. And I thought I was in love, you know what I mean? Like, this is amazing, this is the best life ever. And then I found out that I was pregnant, and this is how, you know, your alcoholic brain works. Like, I was drinking with my best friend, and I said, I think I'm pregnant. And she said, well, why didn't you take the test? And I said, because once that test says positive, I can't drink anymore. So I pushed off taking the test for so long because I just didn't want to believe that this was really happening to me. Because I had a serious issue with trusting somebody, like another person, to be there for 18 plus years and not leave. And so obviously I found out I was pregnant, and then so I stopped drinking, I did smoke weed for my first trimester because I had not lived a sober life. Like, I didn't know how to be normal. And anyway, so that fear that I just said about having somebody like abandon me and abandon my kid, he used that fear against me and would Okay, real quick, the term gaslighting, for anybody who doesn't know, it came from a Broadway play in the 30s, and this guy hated his wife, but couldn't divorce her, so he was gonna try to get her committed to an insane asylum. So he turned down all the gas lamps in the house, so the gas lights, and then would sit at the table and read his newspaper, and she would come home and she'd be like, "Why are you reading in the dark?" And he says some shit like, "What are you talking about? All the lights are on, it's not dark in here." So he master manipulated her brain, and she, in the end, did get committed to the asylum because she couldn't comprehend what was real and what wasn't real anymore. And that's exactly what happened to me during and after my pregnancy. And it was so hard because, one night, I would get beaten up, right? He would beat me up. And then the next morning, I would say, "Hey, I think we should talk about what happened last night." And he'd be like, "Nothing happened. What are you talking about? Are you taking your meds? Are you whatever?" So it was such a battle in my head between I'm pretty positive that happened, but did it? And it just drove me totally insane because I thought that way for a year. And when I was pregnant, I wouldn't fight back because I felt that if I fought back and something happened to my baby, it was my fault for not protecting her. So I put up with a lot of stuff when I was pregnant. And then she was born on February 25th, 2016. Her name is Stella. And she was so cute. Her head was so perfect. You know how sometimes they come out like an alien head? Hers was so round. It was so perfect. Anyways, so February 25th, so 3 weeks later, I was back downtown. I was back at the bars because at this time, I'm now 21. I had my 21st birthday when I was 8 months pregnant. And which could have been a God thing because I could have had serious alcohol poisoning my 21st birthday if I was not pregnant. So 3 weeks after she's born and I'm back at the bars, back hanging out with all the girls, all the guys, whatever, doing the downtown thing, and not coming home, not taking care of my daughter, not getting up, just completely neglecting her. And then I still had her dad trying to take her from me and all kinds of stuff. The first time that he ever filed to have full custody was February 1st. So 4 weeks before she was even born, I got the first papers. And on February 1st, I was working at Cliff Castle Casino. I had a car, I had a house, I had everything, and I was sober. And he was telling me that I was insane, I was crazy, I don't know what's what, there's something wrong with my brain, I don't know right from wrong, whatever. And so when she was 6 weeks pregnant, or when one of my daughters was 6 weeks old, I hit his mom with my car and got arrested. I hit her on purpose. I had totally snapped. Do you guys ever see that show, Snapped? Where they're all nice and all of a sudden one day they just lose their mind? That's exactly what happened to me. And so I get arrested, obviously. And first I run away to Flagstaff for about 48 hours. I'm under a fake name. I have an alias. I got all these plans to run away. Just all kinds of crazy stuff that all came to thought while I was drunk. The whole time, from here to Flagstaff, I was drinking vodka out of my Circle K cup with orange juice. So all these crazy plans that are gonna save me were just literally crazy. And so when I come back to town, a cop comes to my door and serves me the police report, and it says that I was intoxicated when I hit her, which was not true. So I felt that I should go to the police station and let them know that this is a lie. And so I walk into the police station and I get arrested. And so so when I'm in jail for these, it was only 8 days, because the only other felony offenses I had were as a minor, and then that was sealed when I was 18, so, and that was traumatizing too, being in jail for those 8 days. I had never really been to jail. I'd just been like arrested and released to my mother's custody. So in my head, I thought, okay, I'm never gonna come back here. Like, this is horrible, it smells, these beds suck, and whatever. And then when I got released, my mom came and picked me up, and I was expecting to go back to her house, see my baby, you know, get it together. And on the way there, she tells me that when I was in jail, that he got full custody, and I had no parenting time, because I was deemed a harm to myself and her. And the harm to myself was an absolute truth. I had once dropped off my daughter at the babysitter to go kill myself. I had attempted suicide a lot of times up to this point. So the harm to myself, that was a fact. My harm to my daughter, you know, that's up to God, I guess. I don't really know. But I didn't think that I was a harm to anybody. I didn't think that I was hurting my family. I didn't think I was hurting myself. I thought that I was just this perfect person who just liked to drink every single day. And so then eventually I go into court, and they tell me that I can have 5 visits a week, 2 hours each time, at the police station, because I am such a violent person. And so that went fine for a while, but it was only 2 hours. So in between, like, the time that the visit ended, me and my girlfriend would go downtown, and we would drink, or then we would go, like, those free play days they used to have at the casino, go get free play, go get cigarettes, go back to downtown, and then sleep for a few hours. We'd get up, smoke meth, because we were just so tired, you know, and then go back and see my daughter for 2 hours. And it was just, I honestly believe that that was an okay way to live. And now, like, I look back at it, and after this program has changed my cognitive thinking and, like, retrained my brain, I now understand why everybody else didn't like me, why they thought I was a bad mom, why they thought all these things about me. And I was so stuck in the ego-filled world of mine that I didn't see any of that. And eventually, I stopped doing the drug, and the drug started doing me, you know what I mean? I lost all my visits, and then I became homeless because my mother kicked me out. She said, "You're not gonna live here." She said, I don't understand what happened to my daughter. So I got kicked out, and me and my girlfriend at the time, we used to lie to ourselves. We'd be like, it's just an adventure, it's no big deal, living on the streets, whatever. When we haven't slept in 5 days, we haven't showered in 5 days, it's disgusting, and it's not cool, and it sucks, it's lonely, it's horrible, it's no fun. But we convinced ourselves that we were having a good time, and as long as we're together, it doesn't matter. And then she left too. And so then I was really by myself, and then I really had nothing to lose at this point. Like, my family's gone, my car is gone, everything is gone. Somewhere in between that time, I had, like, taken my car to Vegas, and I was gonna live in Vegas. And this is how Vegas came into my thought. You guys know that game My Vegas on Facebook? Okay, well, you, like, collect coins, and you can spend them in Vegas in real time. So I was like, I have all these coins, like, and I have no money, but I can spend these coins in Vegas. That's where I'm gonna go live. And then my car broke down, and obviously I knew nothing about cars, so I couldn't fix it by myself. So I left it where it was. And I just lived on the strip for like a month. Within the first couple days, my shoes broke, so I didn't have shoes, and it was horrible, but I still thought it was okay. I still thought it was cool. I was living the life. And then, so I get arrested in 2017, the beginning of 2017. I get arrested for like the 4th time, okay? And the prosecutor says I'm gonna do 60 days in jail. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not bad, I guess. It was horrible. They never let you outside. It's not fun. So then by the time that like 60 days was over, I thought I was cured. You know what I mean? I am great. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm going to get my daughter back. And 8 days later, I drank and relapsed. And then I thought in my head, okay, well, I already screwed it all up, so I might as well go hard. Because the next time they arrest me, I don't think they're going to let me out. So I was staying awake for days. I was drinking so much that I felt like I couldn't even get intoxicated anymore. Like, I was getting mad. I was like drinking a 30 rack and like not feeling anything, and then go rob somebody so I can go get another 30 rack because obviously I need 60 beers. Well, it doesn't work like that, and it just, and I hated my life. And towards the end of that run, I really hated it. Like, I was like sunburnt from passing out outside all the time. I never had shoes because I would buy a pair of shoes and they would be gone when I woke up. Like, I would just lose my shoes somewhere. I don't really remember the last like 60 days that I had in the free world. I can't really tell you a lot that happened. And the streets are not a fun place to be. And they're, as you guys probably know, they're horrible. I mean, you get beat up, you get robbed, you get raped. It's not the life. And at the end of the day, you tell yourself, I love my life, and then you black out. And then you wake up and you're like, I hate my life. And it's just this whole insane cycle that's just exhausting. So I get arrested the first week of August 2017, and I get sentenced to 3 years in prison. And I thought my world was ending. I thought it was over. I'm never going to get out. 3 years is my whole lifetime. And so it turns out that I did 2.5 years, got out early, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Like, they kind of like prison, like this program, like it works if you work it, you know? So I started going to all the meetings there. My first meeting was an accident. I was just trying to get a Harry Potter book from the library, and there was a meeting going on in there, and they asked me, do you want to stay? And I didn't want to look like an asshole. So I said, okay, sure. And then like the next week they came and found me like, are you going to come? And I was such a people pleaser. I was like, yeah, okay. And then I ended up like actually staying and making it my lifestyle. So I started going to all the meetings that I could over there. I worked my 12 steps for the first time, my first year there. And I was so resilient, like I just didn't want to do it. I was still trying to be rebellious. I was still stubborn. I still thought that my way was the way. And then my second year, I started sponsoring. And I saw these girls like saying stuff that I used to say, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, you sound so dumb right now. And then, so that second year of me starting to sponsor people is what really like changed the way that I live. And like, I didn't really understand spiritual principles until I was like explaining it to somebody else. And so the second year is when I had my most dramatic changes, and my parents started coming to visit me every other weekend. And it was amazing, and I started my own group called Confronting Addictive Behavior. I was running that group for a very long time, and that was our biggest group. We had like over 200 girls there. And, you know, I would go to all of them, AA, HA, CMA, and the yard is like split in half, you know what I mean? You have like the girls that are in recovery and the girls that aren't. So like all the girls that were in recovery, we hung out all day together. It was just like my fellowship. And Then, like a month before I was supposed to be released, I was so scared. I was like, no, wait, I'm a little institutionalized. Like, this is my life now. Like, I really like my life here. And I was so scared to get out because the only thing that I had ever done was fuck shit up. And my mom and her wife and my brother and sister, like the relationships that I had then built with them, I was so scared to lose it all again. Like, this was the first time that I like knew how to feel my feelings, and I didn't want to lose the love that I felt from them. So I came up with a whole plan. I'm going to do 90 meetings in 90 days. I'm going to do my steps again. I'm going to get a sponsor before January. And I did all that stuff. And it has worked. I was released back in December. And I didn't see my daughter for 3 years. I did not see her that whole time that I was in there. And I was going to court all the time on the phone because they were trying to get my rights severed. Just all this uphill battle. And the uphill battle is still going on. But now, since the second week of January, I see my daughter every single week. And it is so amazing. Like, when I'm just like walking behind her, she like looks to make sure I'm still there sometimes. And just to hear her say mommy, because when I left, she wasn't talking. You know, I didn't know for the longest time like what her laugh sounded like, what she liked and what she disliked. And now I know. And now I remember. That's a really huge thing, is I can remember the things that she tells me. I can remember when my mom wants to make crazy plans to go or whatever. I can remember that and not forget and not disappoint. And I still, fuck shit up sometimes, but not like to an extreme. Because as long as at the end of the day, I don't drink no matter what, anything can be fixed, And the step 10 is like super important. That's what keeps me in line. Like, did I lie today? Do I have any secrets? Did I call somebody a bitch? You know what I mean? Just like put myself in check. And if I did call somebody a bitch, okay, whoops, sorry. If it was a stranger, you know what I mean? Make my amends to God, let them know I'm sorry. The next day, I try very hard to not call anybody any names. And it works. And it's just, I don't know, my life today is unbelievable. If you told me at 17 that this was going to be my life today, I would think you were on crack, and I would ask to have what you're on, you know what I mean? And now, I think it was just yesterday, Thursday, I was getting gas at Shell, and some random person came up to me and asked me if I want to go smoke weed. I said, whoa, no. And I got in my car, and I was like, no way. But back in the day, I'd be like, all right, yeah, cool, wait, what was your name? And so, but it didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't become an alcoholic or an addict in one day. So I didn't get this far in my recovery in one day. And I still disappoint myself sometimes, you know what I mean? But that doesn't really matter because I'm sober. I have my daughter, and I'm going to get overnights with her soon. I have my license. They gave me my license back after all that crazy shit. They gave it to me back. I have a car. I have a job. I have a job at a sober living. So now, not just like the game was a lifestyle, right? So recovery is a lifestyle. And it's got to be in all aspects. We carry these principles in all our affairs. And that includes my family, people at Walmart, people at the gas station, my job. And when I really put everything that I've learned and use all the tools that I've learned over the past 3 years into every aspect, my life is more than I could have imagined. It blows my mind how much I actually like myself. And I'm not lying to myself. I'm not lying to other people. Like, I'm not cured, because we just have today. So, and if I think about forever, it makes me nervous. So I don't. I just think about today. And today, I didn't drink. Today, I got to come see all of you guys. Yeah, so I pass with that. Thank you.
Let's thank Kat once again. Thank you.